How do you install mods using Nexus Mod Manager? That is the question I'm going to answer in this video. I'm going to assume at this point that you have Nexus Mod Manager installed and set up correctly for your game of choice. If this is not the case, I did a video showing you exactly how to do that. You should go and watch that and make sure you have the tools set up correctly. You are also going to need a Nexus account. You probably already have that if you have the tool installed, but you're going to need one, so fix that if you've not done it. It is free. There is a premium option, but it is an option. You can sign up for free. But if you've got those two things sorted out, we're pretty much ready to go. We're going to start by installing a couple of very simple mods for Skyrim and Witcher 3. But before we do, let's take a quick look at Nexus Mod Manager and just become accustomed to the layout. By default, the tab marked mods will probably be showing you a lot of categories. If you click this icon here, it switches this view to show you all of the mods that you've got currently downloaded for this particular game. And as you can see for Skyrim, it is completely and utterly blank for me. I have no mods added. I usually leave the Nexus Mod Manager set up this way so I can see just the mods rather than the categories. That's probably going to come down to personal preference. Some games, such as Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and so on, have a plugins tab, and this is where you decide which of the ESM or ESP plugins are going to be active and in what order they are to be loaded. We'll come back to that later on. And if I quickly switch games to, say, Witcher 3, you can see I only have one tab, mods, and I already have a few mods installed. If I switch to the category view for this game and then go along to this icon and click where the arrow is, I get some options. I'm going to expand all the categories. And now you can see all of the mods separated by their individual categories. As you can imagine, this can be useful if you need to quickly find a graphical mod or a user interface mod. And of course, if you collapse them all, you can actually see how many mods. There is a little number inside the folder icon that will tell you how many mods belong to that category. So now that we're acquainted with the layout of Nexus Mod Manager, let's use this tool to actually install a mod. And I'm going to choose a mod for Skyrim. The mod I'm choosing is Book Covers of Skyrim. This is a simple mod that just replaces all of the book covers in Skyrim, and there are a lot of them with very high quality, interesting replacements. And it actually makes quite a big difference. If you want to find out more about this mod, I did make a video and I will leave a link down below. As a general matter of good practice, I always recommend you read the main page for any mod you download, no matter where you download it from. You should especially look for any details regarding compatibilities, incompatibilities, or installation instructions. But in the case of this mod, it is actually very, very simple to install. All you need to do is go along to the file section on Nexus and choose which version you want. Under main files, there are actually two versions of this mod. The standard one, the original, which gives you a lovely, high quality, colourful version of the books, and a desaturated version, a version that's slightly less colourful. I happen to like the desaturated version, but that's a matter of taste. But that's the one I'm going to choose, and all I need to do is hit download with Manager, and Nexus Mod Manager will take over. You'll see here, Download Manager now has one file. You can even see the progress going. And Book Covers for Skyrim is now being downloaded. This will take a few minutes or seconds depending on the size of the mod and your internet connection. This is actually a huge mod. It is half a gig. Some mods will probably download instantly. Once the download process has finished, the mod will automatically be added to the tab. There you go, Book Covers Skyrim. And if I select it, I can actually see some information regarding it in the right hand panel. In fact, you'll probably recognize the front page. And there's also some information here, the title, category, when you downloaded it, version, and the latest version that's available on the site. We'll talk about that later on. But now that the mod has downloaded, I simply select it and click this green tick icon and it will install the mod. It may take a few seconds. You can see down here it says mod activation installing. The bigger the mod, the longer this will take. And once it's finished, you will see that the mod has been activated. Little green tick icon here. If I go along to the plugins, I can actually see book covers for Skyrim. This is only going to be the case for mods like Skyrim. But there you go, it has been selected. And really, that is all there is to it. A mod as simple as this could take 2 clicks to download and install. If you're curious, you want to open up your Skyrim data folder. This is where Skyrim stores the mod files. Obviously, this is going to vary game to game. But there are the 2 files that Nexus Mod Manager has added. The Book Covers Skyrim ESP and Book Covers Skyrim BSA. Again, this is a very simple mod that only has 2 files. Some mods that you install might have tens of thousands of files split out throughout various folders. So that's the installation of a simple mod for Skyrim. But what about other games? Well, it's pretty much as simple usually. For example, if I go along to Witcher 3 Nexus mods and check out a mod called Beautiful World. This is a mod that changes the title screen from Geralt sitting down meditating to some beautiful shots. And to install this mod, it again is pretty much the same thing. I go along to the file section, and in this case there are 3 different versions. There is a widescreen version, an ultra widescreen version, and a letterbox version. I'm going to choose the letterbox version. Download with Manager once more. Now you saw the little splash come up and it has now opened up Nexus Mod Manager for Witcher 3. It's actually left Nexus Mod Manager for Skyrim open. And here we have the download for the new mod, for the Witcher 3 mod. Again, once it has finished downloading, select the mod and activate it. And once it's finished, the mod has been installed. I'll take a quick look at my Witcher mods folder, and you can see Mod Beautiful World main menu has been added. As you can see, Skyrim and The Witcher 3 handle mods slightly differently, but Nexus Mod Manager treats both pretty much the same, and it works without any problem. I can then just quickly check Witcher 3 Wild Hunt to make sure the mod has installed correctly. And once the game starts up, you get this sort of epic video montage instead of the stationary shot of Geralt meditating. This is actually pretty cool. So, we know how to install mods, but what happens if we change our mind? We want to remove a mod from our game. Well, that's pretty simple, but there are a couple of options. For example, let's take the Beautiful World mod. If I want to disable it, I can do so. I can just simply select this icon here. It is now disabled. If you play the game, it will not find this mod. If I open the mods folder, it is not here. The mod has essentially gone. However, the installation files still exist on your system. It's very, very easy to reactivate it again, and you see how quick it is. It's pretty much instant. The other way of doing it is to right-click and uninstall mod, or uninstall mod from all profiles. I'll talk about profiles another time, but I'm going to select uninstall mod. And as you can see now, the icon has gone completely. The mod is still here in my mod tab, but the files have actually been removed, the installation files. If I activate it now, it will take a few seconds longer to actually install than had I just disabled it. But the mod is still here on my system. Again, let me reiterate, I've removed the mod from the game. The game has no idea this mod exists now, but the file that I downloaded is still in the Nexus Mod Manager folder that I set up for this game. This means I can install it again at another date. If I want to remove that file completely to save hard drive space or something, I have to click on this, delete the selected mod. Yes, and it is now gone. If I want that mod again, I will now have to re-download from the Nexus page. And the process is identical for the Skyrim mod. In fact, if I open up Skyrim data here so that you can see book covers Skyrim, when I disable this, you will see those files disappeared. They are now gone from the data folder. And again, if I want to uninstall mod and perhaps even, it's because I've made it a little smaller, and delete it from my hard drive completely, it is now gone. It is as if I never had that mod at all. So what if you get a mod from somewhere else, somewhere that is not Nexus? Well, it's very, very easy indeed, and to show you that, I am going to install a mod called Footprints. Now, I actually downloaded this from the Nexus. You can download Nexus files manually, but this will work for any mod you downloaded from any site, as long as the mod is packaged correctly, and all mods should be packaged correctly. They'll come as a zip, a RAR, a 7Z archive, some type of archive, and hopefully the files will be packaged correctly. If not, you will have to read the mod author's installation instructions and follow their instructions to the letter. But generally speaking, most mod creators are pretty good at this now. So let's install Footprints manually, so to speak, without downloading from the Nexus using the Download with Manager feature. This is a simple matter of clicking this large plus icon, selecting the file. I've got mine currently on my desktop. It is called Footprints. And that's it. That is pretty much the process done, apart from now installing it, and that process is identical to before. I just click on the icon. The mod is now installed. It's as simple as that. Same with the uninstalling process, the deletion process. It's all identical. It doesn't actually matter where you get the mod from. Just because it's called Nexus Mod Manager does not constrain you to mods from Nexus. You can get them from anywhere. You can also do this a little quicker if you drag and drop the archive onto Nexus Mod Manager's mod panel. It will actually add the mod the same way. However, you should know that you may have some problems if you're running Nexus Mod Manager as administrator. You can try it, see if it works. If it does, you've got a little bit of a shortcut. Occasionally, you're going to find a mod that has a few extra steps because it has an installer script. You'll know immediately because when you try to activate the mod, it will have a pop-up window. And to show you this, I'm going to choose a mod called Realistic Water 2, which is a mod that overhauls the water of Skyrim and makes it look an awful lot better. There are quite a few mods that do this, and it's a matter of personal taste as to which you want. But Realistic Water 2 does have such an installer, and it's a great way to show you how this works. So I've already downloaded the mod to Nexus Mod Manager, and I'm going to activate. And after a second or so, we're going to get a pop-up window like this. Now, you want to read any instructions you're given by the mod author here, but you will be selecting different options. So perhaps I want the medium quality rather than the high quality. Actually, I don't. I want the high quality. And if I was using realistic needs and diseases, I would probably want to check that. I am not, so I'm going to leave it as default. I'm going to click Next. And it's then asking me for, well, essentially, what extra lands do I have? So I do have Dawnguard and Dragonborn, but those both classify as the legendary combination. If you ever see legendary, it just means you have all the DLC probably. So if I select that, it's the same as if I were selecting Dawnguard and Dragonborn. Everything's explained here. Most mod authors are pretty good at explaining this. As you can see, you get lots of nice help text and some nice diagrams. Depends on the mod author. It all comes down to what the mod author has decided to add. I want waves, Skyrim plus Dragonborn. I want the waves for Dawnguard. I don't have Worm's Tooth or Falskar. They're both mods that actually add whole new lands to Skyrim. I do want bobbing longboats. That's kind of a cool effect where you see the longboats bobbing in the water. I want extended ambience, but that's it. And then I click finish. And that's it. The process is a little longer because it has some options, but the process is still pretty simple. However, there is one thing you need to bear in mind when using scripted installer mods. There is a very real difference between disabling a mod and uninstalling it. So if you click this icon and disable it, obviously the mod is no longer in your game. However, if I activate it once more, you'll notice there was no installation window. I didn't get to choose which files, which options I wanted. It has remembered it from before. So if I want to actually change the options, it's not enough to disable it. I have to uninstall the mod. I actually have to uninstall the mod and then reinstall the mod. If I do that, it will actually give me the options once more, and I can change them if I decide something wasn't quite to my liking. Perhaps I didn't want the extended ambience, and I can do it that way. But disabling the mod simply does that. It just disables it. If I re-enable it, I do not get the chance to change any options. Occasionally, mods will be updated. Sometimes they get new features, or perhaps they'll get some bug fixes. And as a general rule, it is a good idea to keep your eyes open for such updates. However, I am not saying that you should automatically update every single solitary time you see such an update. In fact, quite the opposite. You should only update a mod if it's added something that is useful or desirable to you and has not done something that could potentially cause you problems. And that is where the real work is when it comes to updating your mods. Believe it or not, the process is usually pretty simple, and I do say usually, but the trick is to know when to update. Now, Nexus Mod Manager will make you aware of any new versions to mods you have installed for mods that you downloaded from the Nexus site. So for example, I've installed an old version of Realistic Water 2, and as you can see, my version is 1.021, and there is a new version, 1.11. Now, by the time you get to watch this video, they will probably have released version 6.0.14 or later versions, and there will be a couple of differences in the way it handles mod versions. The columns have been merged into one, so now you just have mod version, and it will show you what version you have installed, and if there is a discrepancy between the one you have installed and Nexus, it will be flagged with a yellow warning icon. Now you can actually turn that off. If you right click and go to mod update warnings, you can toggle this off. This is in case the mod author has incorrectly flagged their versions, they've put the wrong version number. It does happen occasionally, and it may annoy you to constantly get the warnings, so you can now turn that off. Now, if I select this mod and then click on the latest version, it will actually open up the Nexus page for that mod. And what you're going to need to do here is look for a change log. Now, many mod authors actually add changes under a tab here, and you can check what has been added, what has been fixed, what has been changed here. It's also a good idea to check the description, check to see what has been written under any version information, and if you're thinking of updating, check to see if there are any instructions regarding updating. Updating can be a simple process, and for this mod it actually is a simple process, but for some mods there are special requirements, things you need to do before you even think about updating. You need to check here, make sure you're completely aware of what you need to do before you update, and indeed whether or not it's worth updating in the first place. All of this is something you are going to have to research yourself, and you really do want to resist that urge to just automatically update any mod that receives a new version, because you can cause some issues. However, for Realistic Water 2, the process is actually quite simple. I just go to the file section, I download with Manager on the latest version, continue my download, and let Nexus Mod Manager download it. And once it's finished, simply deactivate the old version, or if you want, uninstall it, and then select the new version and activate. And once again, follow any instructions that you are given and let the installation process continue. Once the new version of the mod is installed, you can, if you want, delete the old version, although you might want to keep it for a little while just in case the new version has issues and you want to go back to the old version. Many mod authors keep old versions for you to download, but occasionally mod authors clean up their backlog and remove the versions that you might want. So you may, if you've got the space, want to keep some of the old versions of these mods just in case. But for now, I have updated Realistic Water 2 to the latest version. And that's it. You now know the core concepts required to install most of the mods out there. There will always be a few mods that require something extra, perhaps even, require something outside of Nexus Mod Manager. There are quite a few mods like that, but I'm afraid that is out of scope for this video. But overall, you should now be able to install 99.9% of all the mods out there. In part 3 of this series, I'm going to cover a subject that is quite specific to the Bethesda games, a subject called load order. This is something you're going to need to know if you are playing games such as Skyrim and Fallout, which are the most popular games to mod on Nexus. If, however, you are not interested in modding those games, you can actually skip that video, unless you're curious. Part 4 will be discussing the subject of profiles, and that is a very powerful and exciting feature, so you should probably check that one out. But whichever video you choose to join me for, I look forward to seeing you then, and until then, remember, as always, have fun.